How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another 1UP FBA wholesale video here on YouTube. My name is Mike. In this video, we're going to safety net your purchases. We're going to be covering how to properly vet a supplier so we don't make costly mistakes buying from a bad vendor, buying from a bad company. This video is in no particular order. There's a lot of things we need to cover here, and we're going to go over some questions that you need to be asking your suppliers to kind of do your due diligence and make sure they're a valid source of product. The number one indicator of potentially a company we do not want to work with is companies that have quote unquote wholesale pricing on their products, but it is publicly available. And when you go to set up an account or you click the register button on their website, all it asks you for is an email, a password, and boom, you're magically in and you magically have access to all this wholesale product. These companies are way too publicly available for my liking, and this goes hand in hand with the basics of finding a good company to work with. They will typically have an application process that you need to go through. They will request a tax ID or a sales tax permit from your state, which is your tax exemption permit. And it is not uncommon that a company will also ask for a credit application be completed, which is essentially setting up net terms if you would like to kind of use them as a credit line for 30, 60, 90 days. That is the typical process of working with a good company. If there's openly advertised wholesale pricing and all you did is enter an email and a password and you're magically in with all these products, that is a red flag, and it's typically not a company we're looking to work with. The second type of company I would not advise working with are the companies that pose as wholesalers, and on their website they tell you to join a Telegram group where they have daily deals and daily email blasts. Anytime you're getting email blasts directly from any type of broker or group, it's typically going to end up as a bad situation. They don't always have proper chain of custody records. They're usually buying within the closeout space, buying one-off inventory with no record that goes back to the brand. Especially with Amazon cracking down lately with having proper chain of custody, Amazon wants to make sure that where you bought the product from either is the brand or works directly with the brand or manufacturer. If you cannot prove that chain of custody when issues arise on certain products, and it is typical that they do, if a customer complains and you have to handle something on your Seller Central account, if you do not have a clear chain of custody for your products, and you have not purchased from an authorized vendor, you will not be able to remove that remark, and that could potentially result in a deactivation of your seller account. So with this being said, buying from brokers and Telegram groups and Facebook Marketplace wholesalers who claim they have all these products, Amazon more than likely is not going to recognize that as an authorized source of product from the brand. Now, the third thing we have to keep in mind when we're buying product from a supplier is we need to ask ourselves a question. And the question is this quote unquote supplier catering to us as a newer wholesale seller in any way, shape, or form? What this would look like is going onto a quote unquote supplier's website, and they have a downloadable catalog filled with ASINs that perfectly line up with profitable opportunities for Amazon. I can tell you guys, none of the companies I work with in my wholesale business pretty much know anything about Amazon at all, right? They might know that I sell these products on Amazon, but they are certainly not providing specific ASINs and catering these deals to new sellers on Amazon. And this kind of goes back to my first point, is there needs to be a process of submitting proper documentation to either the brand or the supplier, filling out some forms, maybe calling back and forth with your sales rep, providing information about what you do and where the products are sold. This stuff is critically important when you are opening proper wholesale accounts. Now, the fourth thing is we have to verify the supplier's address. And the best way to do this is find the contact information on their website, maybe find a headquarters location, copy and paste that address into Google Maps. A large distributor or supplier is going to be in a commercial facility on the map. They're either in the industrial area of the city or they have a massive warehouse. Some of the biggest companies even have their name on the side of the building, and it is visible from the Google Map street view. If you look from an aerial view on the satellite, it's not uncommon that you would see a bunch of semi-trucks at the dock locations of the building. You can see the trucks being unloaded. It's a huge warehouse on the map. These are indications of a legitimately large company and companies we more than likely are looking to open accounts with. The flip side of that is these brokers often use what's called a postal forwarding address. You look up the address on the map and it's a tiny little retail store that says like postal forwarding. It's basically a digital address. They're not a legitimate supplier. They're just basically brokering from one company to you on your Amazon store. They don't have a big facility. They do not have a big distribution warehouse. That is why it's so important that we look up their address and just validate that this is a big warehouse on the maps and we have access to see all these things on the Google Maps satellite. So let's jump into, if you have identified potentially a good company to work with and you still have questions, there are a few different ways we can even vet the supplier even farther. The first thing is going to be, if they are a more local company, see if you can actually stop by, ask them if they have a showroom or if there's a sales rep that could show you around. Maybe you guys could open the account in person, but that way you have an in-person experience with that local supplier and you can learn more about their business. Go and notice that they are a legitimate company with a large warehouse. You can go shake a hand, speak face to face with the sales rep. That is one of the best ways to validate that it is a good, legitimate company to work with, is just go see it in person for yourself. The next question I would always ask a supplier, and you can do this over the phone or via email, or if you are in person, you can obviously bring this up in a conversation, is to ask them what their relationship with the brand look like. Are they buying directly from the brand or manufacturer for these products? So let's say you are noticing they have Tootsie Roll products advertised on their website. Are they working directly with Tootsie Roll Industries out of Chicago? That would make the most sense, and that means they have a direct chain of custody record from the brand to them as an authorized supplier to you. This is what I mean, where if anything happens on your Amazon account, you need that chain of custody to submit to Amazon and get those issues resolved for your account health. I can promise you guys the days of randomly buying product from random sources, sending it to Amazon and making a whole bunch of money are over. We have to run a legitimate business with good documentation that Amazon authorizes as a legitimate source of product. The overall takeaway with everything we've covered in the past few minutes is that if it seems way too easy to get these super profitable deals in wholesale, I can promise you that's likely an indication that it's not a good source of product. If all you did is enter an email and password and now you have access to all these ASINs and they're sending you these deals and they're pushing spam into your emails and saying, hey, if you buy 100 of these, we'll send them in directly for you and do all the prep. None of the companies I work with do anything like that. They know very little about Amazon. So all I'm saying is we just need to think about it a little. Did this deal come to us way too easily without submitting any documents or filling out any applications? As a final recap, just make sure. Validate their address on Google Maps. Make sure you can notice their big building from a satellite view on Google. If they're a local distributor, you can go to their showroom. You can speak with a sales rep. And a legitimately good company is going to have no hesitation to answer questions about the authenticity. If there's any hesitation or they say we can't tell you that information, I would not buy from that company. So if you follow all of these things, you should be setting up accounts with legitimate wholesalers, legitimate suppliers and brands that are good to work with. Just make sure you can keep all your documents in order, always save an extra copy. And if you are handling your own product, I would recommend keeping a few pieces of each product in case you ever have to take photos or submit anything to Amazon. It's good to have 1 or 2 pieces of that exact batch of product. We have a comprehensive wholesale program that's been out for over 2 years. Hundreds of students have enrolled. If you're looking to really scale your wholesale business, we speak in depth about all of these topics, from having good chain of custody records, avoiding costly mistakes in your business, identifying profitable distributors, analyzing those products, all the logistics involved. We cover absolutely everything in our A to Z wholesale training. If that is something you are interested in, the link is below this video. We also have a warehouse mastery program we put together so you can see all the functions of my wholesale business, how we build pallets and how we prep and do all these things. So I will link that below. If you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comments. I will be sure to answer them as soon as possible. And be sure to give a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to 1UP FBA for future videos.